above all, external participant and all my students. Right. So myself, Dr. S. Dhanasekaran, Associate Professor, the Department of CSE. Once again, I welcome all the participants. Now the session is being started by Nandikishan. Sir, you please take your session, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So hope you can clear my voice, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine. So I think we can start. So good morning. Hope everyone is safe out there. Okay. Okay, so here is the agenda for today. First, I'm going to explain what we are doing in software industry as part of SDLC lifecycle. So the SDLC lifecycle is common among all the area. And I am going to explain what we are doing in IT industry in each and every phase of SDLC lifecycle. Okay, that is the first one we are going to see. So the next one is like terminologies. So terminologies is the terms. What are the terms we are using? Like some war room, code phrase. So those kind of terms we will use in IT industry. So I will going to explain what is those and why we are using those terms in IT industry. And then best practice in software testing. So here I'm going to give some tips. What we are doing, I mean, what we have to do as a tester, so that it will be, it will improve our team efficiency and overall it will improve our product. So these like some tips and best practice, what we are doing in software testing. And then the challenges in testing, what are the challenges we are facing in the real-time experience. Okay. And then automation kickstart. So where we have to start the automation and what all the tools available in market in various platforms. So those kind of things I'm going to explain here. 1 second, sorry.
Sir, excuse me, please.
Yeah, please.
Srinivasu, please stop your presentation. Why you are sharing your presentation?
My presentation is visible or someone is
Srinivasu.
presenting, I guess.
Yeah, Srinivasu. Hello. Srinivasu, are you hear my voice? Hello.
Hello, Srinivasu.
Yeah, he closed the presentation. Let me present my screen.
Yeah, please, sir. Please, you continue.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Students, don't make difference. Try to replace this golden opportunity. Don't misuse it. Okay, sir, you can proceed.
You can see my screen, right? Hello?
Yeah, please continue, sir.
Yeah, you can see my screen, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the PPT as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It is visible. Please show that in presentation view.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, visible, sir. Visible.
Yeah, okay, fine. So here's the agenda I explained. The first one is the SDLC lifecycle, and the next one is the terminologies. What are the terms we are using in IT industry and why we are using those terms? And the third one is like best practice in software testing. It's like a tips, and then challenges in testing in real-time environment, and then automation kickstart. So what is the tools available in market for different platforms like Windows, iOS, Android, and what are the proprietary tools, those kind of informations. And the last one is the continuous integration. That is on emerging things now. Okay. Okay, so here's the first phase of the SDLC lifecycle, the requirement gathering. Okay, so before going into this, just we will assume one project. So we are going to start developing a single project, and the team contains what different types of roles like developers, testers, and some business analyst people. Those are called BA people. So all three roles will combine together, and we will form a team before starting a single project. Okay. The business requirement document will be prepared by the business analyst people, that BA guys. So they will collaborate with the customers and will come up with a business requirement document. So this document will contains the necessary, the flow charts and the functionalities, all the things we are going to develop. So those kind of details will be there in the business requirement document. If the BA persons is not available in the particular team, then testing people will prepare that BRD document. Okay. So the next one is like understanding the flow using wireframes. So wireframes. So what is wireframes is like? So it will have the flow of all the screens. So for example, if our application contains some 4 screens like login screen and the home screen and some other menu screens. So the wireframes is like the virtual representation. It's actually like the screen with all the buttons and everything in place. And even if you click on that one button, it will open the another screen, but it won't do any functionalities. It's just navigating from one screen to another screen. It's just a navigation. So with the help of wireframes, we will know the flow of the application. Okay, so from which screen to which screen it is going, those kind of things. So we need to, in the requirement gathering phase, wireframes even prepared by BA team, BA, that is the business analyst people. If they are not available, then testing team will prepare the wireframes, and we need to understand the wireframes. Okay. Next, we are going to check the automation feasibility. So as I mentioned, we are going to develop a project, whether automation is possible for that particular project or not. So why I'm saying possible? I mean, we can say like automation is possible for all the types of product or features. We can say like that, but still we have to check whether automation is possible for that particular project or particular feature. Because if it's a API kind of project, API development, like we need to do some load testing, those kind of things. So we need to check for automation feasibility, whether it is possible or not. And the next thing what we are doing is like whether automation is necessary or not. So why we are saying automation is necessary? Because if you do automation, then it will, it will save most of the manual efforts actually. But still, we need to confirm automation is necessary or not. Why we have to confirm is like, if the project we are going to perform is only for some short term, like some 1 month project, and there is no further future development in that particular project. So it's not required to do automation, because we won't get any return on investment even if you do automation. If it is a continuous project and it will go for some 1 year, then we have to do the automation. So we have to make sure whether automation is necessary or not for that particular project. Then selecting the various environment for testing. So here environment is like, so consider, I mean, if you are doing some project in the final year, so what you guys will do, I mean, I'm also will do like, we will develop the project in our system, in our local PC. And then what we will do, we will directly deploy it in the production. So now we are having 2 environments. One is the develop environment, where we are developing the code. That is your local PC. And the production environment, where we are deployed the code. So that's our 2 environments. But in the real-time case, the 2 environment, it's not sufficient to give the quality product. So we are having some n number of environments, like develop environment, then model A, model B, model C, or else unit testing, integration testing, system testing environment. So those kind of environments will be there. And then finally, some pre-production environment. So pre-production environment is like, it is a complete replica of the production environment. And then finally, it will release it to the production environment. So the application have to cross all these environments to reach the production environment. In each level of environment, we will do different kinds of testing. Unit testing, integration testing, system testing, load testing, and many kinds of testings are there. So we need to select how many environments required for this project. So these are the things we need to cover as part of requirement gathering. So the next phase is the test planning. So the test planning, the first step in the test planning is like, we need to build a team. So initially the team will have only few members, like one developer. Mostly he will be an architect, and some one tester, the same architect, and some few BA guys, because they are going to ready the BRD document, wireframes. So work will be more for them in the first phase. But in the next phase, we need to build a team. So based on the requirements what we are gathered, now we will come to know how difficulty is the process and how much efforts we need to put for that particular project. We need to test. Okay. So based on that, we need to build one team that is for both functional. Functional is like manual testing and automation engineers, if the automation is required for that particular project. So you have to build a team. And then pick out the right management tool. Pick out the right management tool. So management tool here is like, for example, Jira, and then Sapphire, and then many tools are available in the market. So there only we will manage the test cases and the defects and the story, task, everything we will manage in that particular tool. Okay. And then identifying the suitable automation tool under the framework. So if the automation is required, then we have to identify the tool. So what tool? It's a open source or some proprietary tool, and whether it is adaptable for all the environments. I mean, all the environments is like, here I'm saying iOS, all the platforms. And the framework is like page object model, and many models are there. We can I will talk about more on this during automation. And then risk identification or mitigation. So risk identification is like, if you're developing one project and we are going to test it, so what are the risk factors? So risk is like, if the developers, if you are having some deadline to be delivered the project by August end, but we are not even getting the product from the developers to test at the even for before 5 days. So it is not possible for us to complete the testing in the last 5 days. So that is some risk. So we need to inform prior, like we at least need some product to test before some time, so that only we can complete the testing. That is one risk. And next risk is like on the environment readiness. So next thing it will come actually. So environment is like I say earlier mentioned, like we are saying some 5 environments kind of thing. So whether all the environments are ready while we are going to test. So those kind of risks. And what are the mitigations? So is there any alternate plan to overcome such risk? We have to plan those things as well during the test planning. And then determining the type of testing going to perform. So here I explain like type of testing is like system testing, integration testing, load testing, performance testing, and there are many testing. For more than 40 plus types of testings are there actually. So what are the testing we are going to do as part of this project? What are the testing which are applicable? Okay. So next, test schedules and deliverables. So this is the important part. Okay. So test schedule is like, for if you are having one project, it will go for 1 month. The release date is like 1 month we have to release the project, but we won't do as a single release at the end of 1 month. Okay, that is not a good practice. We will release a step by step. Okay, so each step there will be some working part in that particular product, and we will increase step by step and then finally reach the end product. So test schedules will give the dates. So for example, the first week this feature have to be released, and the next week this feature have to be released. It's like one sprint wise. Okay, sprint wise we have to release. So we have to schedule those things, and then we have to plan accordingly. So the next phase is like test design. So test design. So first part is like methodologies to write test cases. So how we are going to write the test cases? Okay, so test cases we can write it in many ways. So the best way we will follow is like Cucumber. So I think everyone is heard of Cucumber now actually in college. I'm not sure. Still I will explain. Okay. So Cucumber is the easy way to write a test case. It's a Gherkin language they will follow. So it will be like simple English, like given, when, then. So given, when, then. So if you are going to test one login feature, so what all the things we have to give? We have to enter one username, enter one password, and then we have to click on the sign in button. So how we are going to write the test case for that? Okay, given we are in the login screen. Okay, given and then when I click on username button, when I and I click on the password field, and then is for condition checking. Then I could see some result. So those kind of things actually, given, when, then format is a very famous format in IT industry. That's a Cucumber format. Okay. Other than that, we can write like test case description, steps, everything we can write. That is one kind of things actually. And test driven development also will be there actually. Many methodologies will be there, and we have to choose accordingly. And then segregate manual and automatable test cases. So once we are ready with all the test cases, so we have to segregate what all the test cases we are going to perform manually and what all test cases we can automate. So that is a very important point. Okay. So next thing is sanity and regression test cases. So sanity and regression, the difference I will tell. Okay. So sanity is a small set of test cases. It will mostly contain some 10 to 15 test cases, but it will cover the main feature of the particular product. Okay. The main functionality, for example, the login is a main functionality, installation is a main functionality. So those kind of the main functionality will be covered in the sanity test cases. Okay, and the regression test case will cover the rest of all the test cases. So if sanity having some 15 test cases, the regression may have some 150 test cases or 250 test cases or even more. Even 1000 will be there as part of regression test cases, but the sanity will be less than 12 or 13 test cases. It will be up to that only, less than 15 will be there. And then develop the automation framework. So already we decided what all the tools we are going to work, and what all the automation tool and what all the test cases we are going to automate, everything we are having. So we have to develop the automation framework. So automation framework, I already explained, the page object model, and we'll go deep in that last slide actually. Okay, so environment readiness. So already we decided what all the environment we are going to test. We need to make sure whether all the environment is ready and we can install the product, and also we can install our automation framework in that particular environment. So environment I already mentioned, test environment, this and also earlier mentioned like develop environment is the PC in which we are developing. So if you are going to run the automation framework in your PC, whether it will support or not, because automation may be written in Java or Python or some other languages, whether that particular language is supporting in your environment, it means in your PC. So like that, we have different environment. As I told, like the system and testing environment, pre-production environment. So in that all environment, there will be one server will be there, machine will be there. In that machine, whether all the product and our automation is running or not, we have to confirm those things in this phase. And the final phase is like test execution. So here we will start executing the test cases. Okay, so in the meantime, what we did for now, developers will develop the application, and then we will get some product. Okay, it's not a complete product. As I already mentioned, it's a step-by-step product. So we will get some small feature of the particular product. Okay. So we need to execute sanity test cases. I already mentioned like sanity test cases will be a small set, and we have to run the sanity test cases for every build. Build is like for every product they are giving. So it's like a version. Build is a version actually. So version 1 if developer gives, and I am running the sanity test cases against the version 1. So and if I find some defects and all, the main functionality itself will break. If I found that, then again developer will fix that and they'll give another version of the product. So that version is the build actually. So each and every version you have to run the sanity test cases and make sure the product is working fine or not, because the sanity covers the important test cases, the main features. Okay, so if sanity test cases is passed, I mean some 95% pass rate, if I got in the sanity test cases, then I run the regression test cases, because regression test cases count will be very high. It will be like 150, 200, etc. So it is not possible to run for every build, and it is also not required, because if the build itself not working properly, so there's no need to run the regression for those particular build. So only I mentioned like executing regression test cases if required. Okay, so the next one is like moving the test cases to appropriate state actually. So what it mean like, so if you are doing a manual testing, okay, so if you are doing some manual testing, the tools will be there, Sapphire, Jira. In that tool, the test case will be there. You have to go through the test case and you have to run the, execute the manual test case, and you have to mark it whether the test case is pass or fail. If it is fail, then if you are raising any defect, you have to enter the defect ID. So those kind of things we have to do the test execution phase. And here comes the defect life cycles. So I'm not going to deep into the defect life cycle, because already you have the syllabus in for defect life cycle. Okay, so if one defect, just I will say like if a tester will raise a defect, then it will go to the developers, and they will fix it, and again I will come back and again will test it. If it fixed, then we'll close it. If it not get fixed, then again we'll send it back to developer so that they will again work on it. Okay. So and then report generation. I'm saying. Okay, so and then report generation. So report generation is like at the end of each execution. For example, it's a sanity test or regression test, anything. So we have to generate one report. Even for manual testing, we will generate one report. The report will contains like how many test cases executed and how many test cases pass and how many test cases fail. So those kind of details will be there as part of this report generation. Because the report generation, we have to present it to the client level. Like, okay, for this feature, we have tested this many test cases, and this many test cases passed, and this many test cases failed, and this how many defects we raised. So those kind of report we will present to the client. And with the report, we can find that the quality of the product. If all the test cases get passed, then it means the quality of the product is good. Like that, we can find some observations using the report generation. Okay. Okay, so here comes the terminologies what we are using in the testing. Okay. Okay, so these three are interrelated: war room, zero bug day, and code freeze. I will explain all this in a single example. Okay, so now we are having one project. We started this project on August starting. Okay, the end date of the project is like August ending. So we need to deliver the project to the customer on August end. So what we have to do? So we have to set some dates. Okay, so this date we have to stop writing. Stop developing new feature. Okay, so why I'm saying like new feature is like don't develop a new feature. if the product contains some 10 features, I mean, we have split the product into 10 features. So we have to develop all the 10 features before this date. So for example, August 30 is the end date, I mean, the release date. We have to complete developing all the features by August 20. So after 20, so we are not going to develop any feature, but defect fixes will be there after 20. Okay, so that date is called code freeze. So code freeze is like, so no developers will allow to develop a new feature. I mean, introducing a new feature. Feature is like some adding one button, and for that button they are adding some functionalities. So those kind of new feature, we are not allowed after that particular code freeze date. Okay, that is a code freeze date. And the next one is like war room. So next war room. So war room after code freeze. So that date, war room is like every developer, tester, and the product owner. The product owner is mostly the client, and some managers will sit together, and we will analyze what all the defects is there in that particular product. Okay, so because code freeze is done, now we are having some 20 defects in the particular product. So in the war room, we will sit together and we will discuss what all the defects we need to fix as priority, which defects we need to give priority, and which defects we can fix even later point of view. So, and whether it's actually a defect or not, even some defects, it won't be a defect. Okay, so those kind of discussions will happen in the war room. So once finalized, these are the defects we are going to fix as priority, and these are defects we are not going to fix in this particular release. Next release we can take it. So those kind of decision is completed. We will fix one zero bug day. Zero bug days will be on August 26th, like that. So August 20 code freeze, and that August 20 war room will be there, and then based on the number of defects, we will decide a zero bug day. That will be on August 25th, or 5 days or 6 days. That depends on the number of defects. So before zero bug day, we have to ensure all the priority defects should be fixed and tested against the product. So that is the zero bug day. Okay. So next one is the code coverage. So code coverage, it's a different term actually. So it is actually not part of testing, but still we can, I mean, implement some technology to get the code coverage. Okay. So it's like code coverage, how can I say, like if you are doing automation. Okay. So if you are performing automation and if you have written some 1,000 number of test cases. Okay. For the single feature, we are going to write some 1,000 test cases. Okay. So if once we run the 1,000 test cases, how much code in the development is touched? Is touched is like is executed. So I will say it's like example. Okay. So we are having some 2 to 3 features in the development. Okay. I'm writing some automation and it will cover particularly one feature. I'm not touching the other features. Okay. So the development code is having some 1,000 lines. So 1,000 lines of code is there, and I am running some 1,000 test cases. Still only some 100 lines of code only get executed, get touched by the automation code. Okay, so then it is a worst coverage because it's having 1,000 lines of code. Developers route 1,000 lines of code. Then we have to test almost all the 1,000 lines of code. At least once, all the 1,000 lines of code should execute in various test cases. Like, okay, so how much lines of code did the automation touched or executed? So those kind of things will be covered in the code coverage. Okay, we have some different metrics to get the code coverage details, everything. Then this one will be the interesting part actually. So identifying the testing scope, Google Analytics. So here many of us use Redbus or BookMyShow, or I mean many apps we are using. Even PUBG also we will play many times. Okay, so what developers will do actually, what developers or what IT industries is doing is like, we are monitoring all the activities you guys are doing in the application. Okay, so for example, in the PUBG, what mode you are playing? Okay, so in the mod mode, in the sense you are playing some quick play or some other room. Okay, so how many players playing quick play, or how many players some playing some mode? And in the BookMyShow, how many users moving from this screen to this screen, and how many users moving from another screen to this screen? So those kind of details, all the details will be there in the Google Analytics. Okay, so for every user click, we are sending some telemetry pings. I mean, telemetry pings is like some API calls. Okay, so to the some particular server, and we are storing it. So this will be very helpful for the IT team to come with the next update. Okay, So not only for the update, even some defect fixes. Okay, so if some particular defect faced by the users, then we can easily find that some spike in the particular ping. If there is some spike in the particular ping, then there is something going fishy in that our application. Okay, so we have to take that and we have to fix it, and we can identify which feature users are using most. So for example, PUBG, this feature only using most, and yearly they introduced some sniper games and all, but it is available for all the time at the beginning stage. But later point of view, what they did is like that sniper sniper map, they closed the sniper map and they open only for few days. Why they did like that? Actually, if anyone can understand the logic, means no one, only few are playing that sniper mode. So if they open that sniper mode all the time, then unwantedly traffic will get increased, and only with the few users they can't manage the gameplay. They have to include all the bots in that particular thing. Okay, only 10 persons playing means we have to include bots for the rest of the players counter. So it is, it is not required. So what they did, like they closed and opened for only few days, so that in the few days many people will play. So those kind of details we can get it from the Google Analytics, in which feature they are using most. So like that, and with that thing we can identify in the testing scope. Okay, so this is the particular feature where many users are using on daily basis. So we need to concentrate more on that particular feature for testing. Okay, so by that we can identify the testing scope, and also this will help us, I already mentioned, like which feature needs upgrade. So for example, some particular feature no one is using. Okay, we are having that particular feature in the product, but no one is using that feature. Then what we will do, they will maybe they remove that feature, or they will give some upgrade in that particular feature, so that maybe some people can start using that particular feature. Okay, so those kind of details also we can get it with the help of Google Analytics. Okay. Okay, so best practice in software testing, or we can say it's like some tips. So we can note it down, even these things, and if you follow these things after you going in the IT industry, then it will be very helpful for your career actually, because every tester should follow these things. Okay, if you are after once join the company itself, if you say these kind of things, means they will get impressed easily. Okay, so only automate scenarios which would increase the efficiency of the project. Okay, so already we discussed like automation framework. So I can do automation. It means I don't need to automate all the things, all the scenarios. So it is not required actually. So we have to automate only the scenarios which will be efficient. Okay, so we have to find out only such scenarios and I have to automate. It's like I will automate all the things, but that is not required actually. And the next thing is always think as an end user who consume the product. Okay, so testers is the only person who have to think as an end user perspective. Okay, so how we have to test is like we don't know anything about the application, and this is the first time you are seeing the application. You have to test like that in every time. Even before the release date, if someone is asking you to test the application which you are worked for some 1 year, still you have to test like you don't know the application and you are seeing the application for the first time, because end user will do like that only, because end user, they will see the application for the first time, means how they will react. So what all difficulties they are facing while using the application. So those kind of thinking you have to come actually. So that is the thinking as an end user perspective. And then make sure to add a test case for every production defect. Okay, so production defect is like after went into a production, if there is any bug we identified, then that is called a production defect. Okay, so somehow we missed in the testing phase and it went to a production, so it became a production defect, and some users will get affected because of that production defect. Okay, so once we get any production defect, we have to add one test case, because if we already have one test case for that particular scenario, then obviously we will find out in that testing phase itself, because we don't have any scenario, so only it missed in the testing phase and it will end up in, we caught it in the production defect. So we have to add a test case, because next time the same defect we have, we don't miss in the testing phase. Okay, then focus on areas where core functionality resides. So this one I already explained with the Google Analytics. Okay, so what is the core functionality, and we have to find it with the Google Analytics, and we have to focus more on that particular areas. And do a monkey testing before release. So monkey testing, so this is one good concept in testing actually. Okay, so what will happen if you give your mobile phone to a monkey? Okay, because monkey don't know anything about mobile phone, and it don't know anything about the application what you are working. So if you give the mobile phone with a touch screen to a monkey and open our application, what it will do? It will randomly touch all the areas, and it will randomly go to the one page, and will come out, come. It will do some random things, right? So that is called monkey testing. So we also have to do those kind of testings, because many application crash. Crash is like while you are using the application, automatically the app will get closed. That is called crash. So with the help of monkey testing only, we can identify more crashes in the application. So we have to do some monkey testing in that in that application. Okay, just one moment please. Thank you. Okay, so don't miss to inform any application crash. So while you are performing some testing, if you face any crash, if you come across any crash, then you have to inform that without fail, because even we can live with some defects in the production, but if the application itself get crashed, then it will be very irritating for the particular user. Because we are living in the environment, like we can't even wait for 2 seconds to load some application. If the application is taking some more than some 5 seconds, just we will uninstall and we will go for some other application, because there are n number of applications available in the market. So if our application get crashed after we open, then automatically it will be a very bad impression. So surely they won't use, they will just uninstall and go for some other application. So crash is a very important part actually. And report a defect with all required details. So if you find any defect, if it's a UI defect or everything, you have to include all the details like screenshot and what all the logs required, and those kind of details we have to inform actually. And ensure 95% pass rate in Sanity. So as I already mentioned, Sanity will have some only 10 to 15 test cases, and you have to make sure 95% pass rate will be there. Actually 100% required, because only 15 test cases, but at least 95% pass rate should be there in Sanity for all the build, I mean for the release build. And why 95% is, I'm mentioning about automation, because automation maybe some environment issues, some test case may fail at sometimes, but manually if you execute the test case, it may pass. Okay, so anyway, automation point of view, 95% is fine, but annual point of view, 100% is good actually. And update the regression test cases automation every build or release. Okay, so regression test cases will have some 1000 test cases. Okay, 1000 or 2000 test cases will be there as part of regression. So every release we have to update the particular test cases. Just one second. Okay, so update the regression test cases automation. Okay, fine. So in this point, what you have to do is like, so consider after one release, we are having some 1000 test cases. Okay, and the next release will come. Next release means next set of features will come. So in the next set of features, what will happen? Some already existing feature may upgrade, or some new features will get released. Okay, so the existing automation will get affected, because the existing functionality may change. So we have to make sure all the regression test cases are up to date. Then do only single validation in each test case. So that is the best practice actually. So if you are writing one test case for like login functionality, you are checking. So in that login functionality, single test case should cover only one validation, like successful login or failure login. So each test case should cover only one validation. If we cover more than one validation in a particular test case, why I am saying it is not possible, if a first validation get failed, then rest of the validations it won't even execute. So we don't get chance to test those set of validations. Okay, so we need to have only one validation in each test case. Then automate test case to run independently. So independently is like we are having some 5 test cases for a single screen. Okay, so if we have some dependencies of test cases, for example, second test case depends on first test case, and third test case depends on second test case. If you are having some dependency, then if first test case get failed at some point of view, then second and third test case may get failed. Because for example, I am trying to say like in the first test case only you are installing the product. Okay, you are installing the product in the first test case, and the rest of the test case we are not going to install the product, and we are not going to check whether the product is installed or not. So because first test case we are installed the product and we checked something in the first test case, and the next test case we are started testing some feature. Okay, consider in the first test case the product installation get failed. What will happen? Rest of all the test case will get failed for sure because the product itself won't there to test. So make sure that you have to automate test cases to run independently. So if you want to start from the second test case also, you have to check whether the product is there. If product is not there, we have to install the product. So some kinds of tweaks we have to do to make it independent run. Okay. And then challenges in testing. Okay. So what are the real-time challenges what we are facing while doing testing? Okay. So first challenge is like requirement may change at any point of time. So in real time, we are using agile methodology for development. Okay, agile itself, I mean, it will be changed in each sprint. Sprint is like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Okay, the requirement will comes and then it may change. Okay, so we have to adapt for that particular requirement change, and we have to, I mean, modify every time the test cases if the requirement changes. So that is the first challenge. And the next challenge is like identifiers will make automation flaky. Okay, identifiers. What is identifier? Is like we are having some automation framework and we are having some buttons. Everything will be there. Like so, each button is having some identifier. Identifier is like unique way to identify that particular element and click on or click or swipe or some other operations we can perform as part of automation. If you are having some button, login button, say example. So initially the login button's identifier is like login button. Okay. So what we will use in the automation, we will use to identify the login button with the help of that particular identifier. So what will happen if that identifier get changed? The next time we are running the automation, that particular test case will fail because it can't find that particular login button. Okay. So we have to make sure identifiers. We have to make sure whether the identifiers are changed and we have to update those identifiers frequently. So change in identifiers, because developers will do randomly will change the identifier sometimes. And if we go and ask like, no, that is part of requirement, they will say like that. But it's not even the part of requirement. It will be in the some other screen. Some other screen, they changed some identifier. If you go and ask, they will simply say that was part of requirement, so only we changed it. They will say like that. So that will be one thing, automation, for automation actually. So difficult to reproduce certain defects. So if you are finding some defect in our local system, but the same defect we can't reproduce in any other systems. So that kind of situation will come. So only in this system we can reproduce some defects. It will come like that actually. So some defects will come. So we have to act accordingly. And if you file the defect, like I'm facing this issue, then developer will simply say, I can't reproduce the defect in my system. Because in other systems it won't get reproduced, only in your system it will reproduce. So we have to take video, I mean record the defect, and we have to send it. So those kind of details we have to do. And 100% automation testing is not possible or required. Okay, so this one already we discussed. Okay, so we no need to perform automation for all the test cases. And also it is not possible actually, because we can't cover each and every corner of the particular feature using automation. Okay, so we can't completely rely on automation. Okay, so we have to do some manual testing for sure. You can't completely rely on automation, release the product. Okay, say I'm having some 1,000 regression test cases, it automated and all the 1,000 get passed. So not even a single manual intervention required. We can't say like that actually. So some manual intervention is required for sure. And multiple team interaction or involvement during end-to-end testing. Okay, so multiple team interaction is like if your product is like API kind of product. API kind of product means we have to interact with multiple teams. For example, I mean the component which is above our component. Okay, from where we are receiving the request, and the component we are sending some request. So those kind of teams will be there. So the end-to-end testing is like after completing all the things, we have to and do some end-to-end testing. So I can say one example is like you are developing one feature. In that we are having some payment options, payment mode. Payment mode, what we will do, we can't develop our own payment mode. We have some already PayPal or many payment is available actually. So simply we can include those kind of payment mode in our product. Okay. So, but what we'll do during end-to-end testing, we have to test all these particular features. So that time, if something some issues occurred in the payment area, then we have to pull them in. that particular team, and they have to analyze what is the issue. So that is the different multiple teams involvement. And then test data setup. So test data setup is like, if you are going to test some application, we can't give the data all the times, okay, and we need to make some setup. Okay, for example, if I say like you are going to test the login functionality, so login functionality, how many test cases we can write for login functionality? So the first test case is like correct username, correct password, and if you click on sign in, it will go into the login screen or home screen. That is the happy flow, happy path. Okay, so that is one test case. And if you are giving incorrect username, incorrect password, so it won't get login, it should throw some error. That is one test case. And the next test case, what will happen? You have to give the username something and the password empty. What will happen? And the username empty, some password. So what will happen? And then you are giving some many characters, some like 100 characters in the username or 100 characters in the password, or some different ASCII values or something. So this kind of one by one data, each one is one data. I mean the correct username, correct password is one data, and incorrect username, incorrect password is another data, and the empty username, some password is another data. So these kind of data, so that is called data setup. Okay, so we have to do some data setup. So that will be some difficulty we will face during data setup. This is a simple login screen, so it will be easy. But if your application has some form to enter all the user details, those kind of things, then data setup will be high. Okay, so here comes the automation. Okay, so here the left side we are having type of software. It's like type of platforms, and the right one is the tools what IT industry is using in most of the areas. Okay, so for mobile application, iOS and Android, mostly we will use Selenium with APM. So Selenium with APM is the free one. Sorry. And test complete is the proprietary tool. Okay, it's a cost. We have to buy license for test complete. But Selenium with APM is like a free tool. Okay, and for web-based application is like Chrome, Firefox, Safari, those kind of things. Selenium is the free, and UFT is the cost one. It's a Qt something, UFT, LeanFT. Okay, that is the thing. Okay, and then Windows application, Pywin Auto. So Pywin Auto is a Python based package, that is for free one, and again UFT is a proprietary tool. And for Mac application, it's AutoMac and PyAuto GUI. So those kind of packages will be there. That is also Python based, and it is free actually. And then image based testing is like finding a particular image is there or not in that whole image. So those kind of things. So that is for Sikuli. Sikuli is a free one, and Eggplant is the proprietary tool. And then API based, API request response. So those kind of application, we use JMeter or Charles Proxy or Load Runner. Some tools will be there. JMeter is a free, Charles Proxy is proprietary, and we have some MITM proxy that is also free. So mostly in many IT industries, we are using only these kind of tools only. Only few, projects, they use some in-house application. So in-house application is like they developed their own application actually. So only few projects or companies will use their own applications, but majority of the companies are using only these tools. Mostly Selenium is the entry point of the testing. If you are going to do automation testing, or you are going to attend any automation interview or something, you have to know at least basic of Selenium. That is the first entry point, because almost all the platforms we can use Selenium. Okay, so in each tools we can write our own framework, like page object model. Page object model is one kind of, and then many models will be there actually. So we can write our own framework for each of automation tools. And the final one is the continuous integration. So continuous integration have two types: continuous integration development and continuous integration testing. So continuous integration is like, consider a developer is developing one feature, and they have to submit the code in the code repo. It's like SVN or Git. Everyone will know about Git nowadays, I guess. So that is the repository. So okay, so once developer develop the code, they have to deploy that in the Git repo or something. So once they pushed the code into the repo, some build should run. As I already mentioned, like build is like version. Okay, that's a packaging the code, and it will give some build to the testers. Okay, so that is part of continuous integration testing. So CI tools is like mostly Jenkins. Jenkins will everyone will use for continuous integration. Okay, and for continuous integration testing means once we received the build, automatically our sanity should run. So no need of any manual intervention to go and trigger the sanity test cases. So automatically when build comes, our sanity will run. Okay. So if sanity have some good percentage, pass percentage, like 95% or something, then regression should run. Okay. So those kind of continuous things, okay, that is called a continuous integration. Those will be configured in Jenkins tool actually. Okay, so this is the future scope of CI. Okay, so this scope is achieved only by very, very few companies actually, and the rest of all the companies are trying to achieve this feature. Okay, so what is this scope is like, whenever developer check in a script in the repository, continuous integration should trigger automatically and log a defect in his bucket. Okay, so what is it that like, okay, today night you are developing one feature, okay, some particular functionality you are developing and you are checked in. Okay, you are checked in the sense you are pushing the code into the repo and you leave the office today night. Okay, so no, not even a single manual intervention, automatically build should run and automatically the unit test should run, and once it pass, automatically it will go into the testing phase and sanity should run, and after running the sanity, if any test case get failed, automatically some analysis will be there. Okay, it will analyze why the particular test case is failed, that should run, and then it will raise a defect in the Jira automatically. Jira is a test management tool, as I already mentioned. Okay, so in the test management tool, we can automatically, the code will raise one defect and it will assign the particular defect to the last person who checked in the code. That is the you. Okay, you only push to the last changes in the particular code. Because of you, this particular functionality break, because last time it was success and this time it was failed. So we have to, we have to write some, AI kind of thing to identify such things, like last test case, last time it passed, this time it failed, and the reason why it failed. So those kind of things, if you identify, and we can automatically log one defect to the particular bucket. Okay, so this one is the complete, thing of continuous integration, but many companies is not even achieved this actually. Okay, so many companies still struggling to achieve this particular continuous integration. Okay, so the final is like queries. Okay, so we came to the end, so that's the presentation. Any queries are welcome.
Students, dear participants, you please ask some questions. Please feel free to ask the questions. Nandu sir, can I ask some questions?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Actually, as of now, people are thinking that
Sorry.
lots of opportunities for only developers.
Okay.
Is there any opening for testing, sir? Can you please point out the openings, various openings for the testers?
Okay, so testing openings. Okay, so if there is one development team, surely there will be some testers for sure. Okay, so we can't develop a product without testers in a development team. Okay, only developers can develop and only they can test, then it is not possible. Okay, why I'm saying it is not possible is like testing people, that QAE, they will say like quality assurance engineer. So they have some special skills, like they will see the product as like end user customers. Okay, so without QAE people, it is not possible to develop any product. So as long as if there is some software development is running and developers are there, testers should be there actually. In a team of 3 developers, it should be contains some 3 testers equally. So there will be paid as like opportunities for developers as well as testers in the current market. And one more thing I like to add is like, as I already mentioned, we have some 40 plus types of testings. Okay, like load testing, performance testings, and API based testing, and many testings will be there actually, security level testing. So those areas and all, only few resources are there actually in the market. It will be very difficult to find resources in such areas. So if you are expertise in those areas, then it will be a good opportunity for you guys actually.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Students, please ask some questions.
Sir, I am Dr. Sundarajan. Sir, you know about Sandhu Kishore?
Yeah.
தெரியுதா யாருன்னு?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
எப்படி இருக்கு தம்பி?
I am good, sir.
மூஞ்சி பார்த்தாலே வந்துட்டேனே, சரி நம்ம பையன்ட்டு.
ஓகே சார், ஓகே சார். நல்லா இருக்கீங்களா சார்?
நல்லா இருக்கேன்.
ஓகே சார், கொஸ்டின்ஸ் கேளுங்க சார். வழக்கமா நாங்க தான் உங்கள்கிட்ட கொஸ்டின்ஸ் கேட்போம்.
நம்ம இந்த கொஸ்டின் இல்லை, நீ தான் சூப்பரா ப்ரெசென்ட் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க.
Yes, sir.
Asking questions is very, very difficult. Now I realize. Okay, one more question. Can you please tell me the, proportion of testers in each concern? Like, for example, 10 developers, 5 testers, like that.
Yeah.
Tell me the exact proportion of developer and tester ratio.
That will be, different for project wise, sir. So let me explain this thing actually. We can explain this in the project management level actually. So how can I explain? It's like, okay, so we are going to start one project as a fresh, okay. Initial stage, what will happen is like BA people will be more. That is business analyst people will be more in the particular team. And only 1 or 2 developer will be there and 1 or 2 testers will be there, okay. At that time, it will be equal. How many developers and how many testers, and both developer and testers will be architects, okay. What I'm saying is architect is like they are ready to come up with the idea, what all the frameworks we can use, and those kind of how much days it will take to test this and how much days it will take to develop it. So those kind of details we need to give. So at the initial phase, if 1 or 2 developers there, surely 1 or 2 testers will be there, and the BA people, that is business analyst people, will be high in count actually at the initial stage. So after completing that BRD document, that LLD document, HLD document, so those kind of documents completed, then what will happen is like we will start recruiting more number of people as developers and testers, okay. And one more thing is like initially if you are having some, I already mentioned 2:2 ratio, then what will happen, it slowly increase. Developer will increase some 5 means tester will increase some 4, because at the initial stage application itself won't be there. So there will be no work for development at the initial stage, okay. So once some feature comes into some shape, for example, after some 20 days or 30 days or 2 sprints or 3 sprints completed, what will happen, testers count will increase more than developers, because that time only we need more testing. So that time if 5 developers are there, testers will be some 7, 8. And that also depends on environment, how many environments we are going to test. If you are going to test some 3 environments, the tester count will be more, even more. 10, it will go even 10, like that, okay. So after that again it will reduce, so like that it will go actually. So that depends on the project and the project management what they are thinking. And but for sure testers will be there up to the end. Even after going into the production, 1 developer and 1 tester will be there for sure for a particular project to support.
Actually, you have completed your BTech 10 years back.
Yeah.
What are things you have learned? What are the experience you have learned from our KLU? Please tell about the few points about KLU and our academic systems.
Okay.
So that only our students are currently 3rd years, final years, and 2nd years. They need to improve their enrich knowledge. Kindly give some valid points, some proper direction for them.
Okay. So we are the first set in the university actually, so there will be a lot of confusions there because we are the first batch in the university. And the one plus point which I'm going to mention is like we are having the option to select the subjects. Before our batch, the Anna University, we are having some only set of subjects. There is no minor elective or free elective or major elective. The elective won't be there actually in previous stages. But in our case, the electives are there actually. So with the help of electives, we can, if you utilize the electives subjects very efficiently, then it will be good. Why I'm saying like if one CSC department guy is there, so surely they want to go into some CSC oriented IT companies, means they have to take the subjects accordingly. So for example, software testing paper was there already. When I studied itself, software testing paper there. And even DBNS paper there, and a mobile computing paper I studied actually, and grid computing. So the grid computing paper I studied actually. So grid computing will cover even the cloud computing status. So that basic functionalities in software, because software testing paper itself will cover most of the things I told, like STLC. But what are the things which I learned after coming into IT is like, it's like real time. So real time what we are doing. But the basic functionality is there, what we learned is already there in the subject actually. So which I learned earlier, it was very helpful for me, like the software testing paper and grid computing. It includes the cloud computing. So Those kind of syllabus were very good actually. And for electives also, we have the opportunity to choose CSE papers. Okay, even in IT or ECE, we can have the opportunity to choose CSE papers and vice versa. So that was really very helpful to learn some different, technologies like some signals and system, DSP. So those kind of papers we are learned actually. But though we are, it's not useful much in IT, but ECE guys will get useful for those particular things actually. And one more thing I like to add is like, so when we studied there, we don't, I'm not sure the current syllabus, actually, current curriculum which Kalasanga University follow.
Okay, sir.
But I heard is like Python and all, it's introduced in the college itself. I hear like that actually. Am I right, sir? Or hello?
Yes. Even in the first year, they are studying the AML. My students are studying AML
Okay.
and
Python, everything in the first
Python.
year itself.
I think some of the students
Okay.
are joined here. Yeah, currently they completed the
nice.
Python in the first year.
Yeah, because why I'm saying is like
Yeah.
I studied. Yeah, please.
One more question. Somebody asked Bala Yogesh. What is
Sorry, I couldn't hear properly, sir.
If we read chat,
So there is some background noise.
Mr. Andy, the chat box.
Hello.
Andy, your mail ID, contact number.
Yeah, please read.
No, this is my mail ID.
என்னோட கான்டாக்ட் பண்றேன்.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so mobile number is 979698224.
யூஎஸ்ல இருக்கியா?
ஆமா சார். Work from home.
வீட்ல இருந்து வேலை பார்க்கறீங்களோ?
ஆமா சார்.
நம்ம கூட கிளாஸ்மேட்ல என்ன பண்றாங்க?
கிளாஸ்மேட்ஸ் சார் கொஞ்சம் பேர் பிசினஸ் போயிட்டாங்க.
மேரேஜ் ஆயிடுச்சு உனக்கு?
எனக்கு மேரேஜ் ஆயிடுச்சு சார். 2 கிட் இருக்கு.
2 பேர் இருக்காங்களா? வைஃப் என்ன பண்றாங்க?
வைஃப் ஆக்சுவலா சிடிஎஸ் ஒர்க் பண்ணாங்க. பட் இப்போ ரெண்டு குழந்தை பிறந்தாங்க. இப்போ குட் பண்ணிட்டாங்க ஆக்சுவலா.
சரி. அவங்க வைஃப் இங்க முத்துவாசி வந்துட்டாங்க. தமிழ்ல இருக்காங்க.
அவங்க மதுரை சார். ஆக்சுவலா நேட்டிவ் மதுரை, இப்போ அங்க இருக்காங்க.
Nandu, one more question from the student side. Mr. Bala Yogesh, he asked the question. He asked what is meant by Agile and Scrum.
What is?
Please read the chat box. What is meant by Agile and Scrum? Chat box, please read the questions. Bala Yogesh Mani.
Where is the chat box? Okay, so you already mentioned the questions like what is meant by this one of the chat box. Scope of exchange in Tamil Nadu, sir. How did you crack this job? Oh, I missed the chat box actually. Sorry. Okay, so sir, what is meant by Agile and Scrum? Yeah, this is one. Actually, so Agile is a development methodology. So, okay, so how we are developing the application. So what all the process we are going to follow while developing the application. Okay, so Agile and DevOps is that. DevOps is the latest one. Okay, so in Agile we are following the practice of Scrum actually. So Scrum is like, it's a sprint based. Okay, so how can I say, like we are following the Agile process, and inside Agile we are following Scrum teams will be there actually. So Scrum team, Scrum what I can say, like manager and those kind of roles will be there actually. Scrum master role, that is the Scrum master role will be there. I can say one example is like inside Agile we are, first process is like PI. PI is like product improvement. Okay, so for product improvement, under product improvement, we are having some sprints. Each sprint will have some 2 weeks. Okay, one sprint will be 2 weeks, and some 4 sprints will combine together as a PI. Okay, and each sprint we have to develop some particular feature, and we have to present it to the client. Actually, after completion of each sprint, we have to develop it to the client. Actually, so these kind of process like Scrum team and PI and these kind of things, that is called Agile actually. That is a type of developing framework actually. So it's an organized way. What I'm coming to select is an organized way actually. Sir, what is Agile? Okay, any other questions I missed out?
How did you crack the job, sir?
Yeah, how did you crack this job skill you have? Okay. So actually I was get placed in Tata Consultancy Services in our college, actually we have campus. Okay, so initially I also have fond of development only, and first year I was a developer. Okay, so when I joined the TCS, I was a developer for first 1 year and I worked in Java. Okay, and then only I moved on to testing. Okay, so why I moved on to testing is like, so after we completed the development, what happened is like our project is, our project, we need some testers. So that time, that was some 8 years back. Okay, that time 8 years back, we won't have a proper team as like developers, testers, everything sit together. Okay, so Agile is like everyone will sit together, developers and testers will sit nearby. So that time and all, there won't be like everyone will sit together. If developer team is in TCS, means testing team will be in some other company. So it will be like that actually. So we need some people to support testing in our company itself. So which in, we can say in the project perspective, like we can overtake the testing project as well in TCS side itself. So that also one way actually. So then there from Java I moved on to testing actually. So the skills I'm having is, what all skills we required for testing is like I already mentioned, the first one is Selenium actually. So Selenium is the base for testing. If you want to go testing, we can use Selenium for web automation, and even for Windows, everything we can use Selenium actually. So other than that, based on Android, if you are going to use Android iOS, Cucumber is there, and APM is there. So like some kinds of tools there actually. So but before we are going to, we can study Selenium. That is good. We can easily study Selenium, and you can work in our local laptop itself actually. That is very easy. Scope of SQA engineers in Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu, that's like we are having a number of IT companies is there in Tamil Nadu, right? So we are having many openings. For example, when I am trying to switch from TCS to another company, some 4 years back, I guess, when I switch, I got many openings and I got many calls actually. So but the skill set will differ actually, but majority they ask for Selenium. So that's what I'm stressing, Selenium is required. Okay, so I think I answered all the questions. Is there anything questions I missed?
Yeah, very good session, Mr. Nandakishore.
Okay.
Then one more small thing.
Yeah, please.
Please kindly share your slide to me and Mr. Dr. Dhanasekaran sir.
Yeah.
Dhanasekaran sir?
Yeah, I already shared with Dhanasekaran sir.
Yeah,
Okay.
already got it, sir.
Okay,
Already
sir.
got it.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Any other queries?
Yeah, you can
if
ask
any queries is there from
actually.
student side?
Any other queries?
Yeah, like how we have to improve in the IT sector, what kind of projects we have to choose. So if there is any queries, even now or even later, you can contact, because I have experience in almost all the projects, like development, support, production support, everything. I am having some experience. So we can now easily come to know what all the things going on inside IT industries.
Queries from students, audience?
And one request I want to hear is like,
okay, sir.
Sir, just one request, sir.
So wonderful.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Please.
when we were studying, it will be more kind of some theoretical syllabus was there. Like if you are going to software testing, like we don't have any practical for knowledge for testing. Actually, there is no practical subject for the testing, and some practical knowledge was less when I feel that time. So I'm not sure about the current curriculum. So if we have some, current real-time experience, some practical examples, some projects we can ask to students to perform and all, then it will be very good actually, because they can easily learn what is teamwork and what all the things we have to plan, how we have to plan and work. So those kind of details they will learn in the college days itself actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of projects will add weightage to my resume for full stack?
Yeah, Nandakishore, past 6 years back we have changed the curriculum.
Oh, super.
Now they
Sorry.
Recently we have developed revised our curriculum, like
Okay.
theory to practical, lab with mini project. And currently we have changed, revised our curriculum. Some
Okay, okay,
past
sir,
days,
okay, sir.
theory
Okay.
with practical and
Okay.
lab with mini project,
Oh,
various
okay, sir.
integrated courses. So
Every
many
subject you
innovative
have
are
made.
introduced. You once,
Okay,
if the time permits, you just come and visit our campus.
yeah,
I'll
sure,
show the
sure.
curriculum. You can, we need the many input. Yeah, we need some more input from your side as some experts.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, sure. Okay.
Thanks a lot. Actually, we had. I hope most of the students enjoyed the sessions. Even
Okay.
more than 1 hour, they have silently, passionately, and have observed your words.
Okay.
Thank you. First of all, thank the participants. And
Okay.
I think one more question. Is there
Yeah.
somebody has a question.
Which one, sir? What kind of projects will add weightage to my resume for full stack web developer? That is the one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So full stack developer, web developer. Okay. So actually the word full stack developer have many meanings actually nowadays. Okay. So what IT people are trying to say is like if you they are planning or thinking that one guy itself will do all kind of work actually. So that is the meaning of full stack developer. So if you are a developer and you have to test it, okay. So you have to develop the code. After that, you have to perform all the unit testing, and then even you have to deploy it in the server. So all things you only have to do at the end-to-end level. So that is actually the full stack developer. And what kind of projects we like to add weightage like? So that depends actually. So project is like web development. One second. Okay, so web development is like we can develop in any platform like Chrome or Firefox or Safari. That is one case. And we have this one like web development apps in our Android, iOS as well. Actually, that is like a cross-platform. Like okay, so hybrid. Actually, it will call it as a hybrid apps. Not native apps means that's only Android-based or iOS-based. We can call it as hybrid apps actually. So hybrid apps includes web pages which will get loaded inside your application, Android, iOS. So that kind of web development project also you can use actually. So mostly scripting languages you have to learn for first. And for project, if you are doing by own, then you can develop some websites by your own and you can try actually. How to validate IoT project and the network new protocol 5G. Okay, so I'm not sure about 5G, but I have experience in IoT projects actually. So I worked on some IoT project. Okay, so IoT we can test it only via API calls actually. So I will give some example. Okay, so consider we are having some door sensor. Okay, door sensor in your home, and the door sensor should be connected with one central device that also will be in your home. Okay, so that central device will control all the devices like door sensor, window sensor, glass sensor, smoke sensor. Everything will be connected to that particular device. From that device, we are connected internet, and all the calls will go to the server. Okay, so how we can validate IoT project is like we have to interrupt those calls. That is called man in the middle. That is some Charles proxy you can use, or MITM proxy we can use. So with the help of some proxy tools, we can interrupt those calls, that API calls, and we can validate. Okay, so what all the outputs, what all the content it's going to the server, and we can even live test we can do. Like if you open the door sensor, what will happen? Whether it is triggering the call to the server, whether this particular door is opened with the door details, everything, whether it is going or not. So those kind of testing or validation we can do for IoT project, and we can even mock the responses as well. So mocking is like, so it is not possible for you guys to procure many devices like 10 doors, 10 windows. So it is not possible. So what we have to do is like we can even interrupt the responses, and we can mock, we can add more doors and add more windows, and we can send the same response to the client. So we can check how the client is responding, how the UI is showing 10 doors, because it is not possible as a practical to procure all the 10 doors and we can connect. It is very difficult, cost or cost. So we can even mock the request and response. So you have to play with that API level for IoT validation. I'm not sure about 5G actually. I don't have any experience on network protocol. Yeah, we have open tool actually. So MITM proxy is the best tool actually. That is a Python based tool. And if you have some proprietary tool also there, that is Charles proxy. Charles proxy also is there. In that also we can see all the API calls which are going in and out of your machine actually. and you can even mock, you can even stop the calls, and you can add some data into the API. So those kind of things we can do with the help of these tools. Thank you. Any other questions?
Any more queries? Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Nandu, thank you very much for the wonderful sessions.
Yeah,
Around
thank you,
100
Kishore.
students, 100 participants, more than 100 students, participants have
Okay.
actively participated.
Oh,
On behalf of our KLB on behalf of our management and our department of CSC, I'm very happy to thank you and all the participants, and special thanks to Dr. G. Murugapalli sir and Chemanikam sir for coordinating this alumni event. And moreover, he have arranged more than 1 week. And also I thank to Sumati madam, Raja sir, and Veeranjani madam for arranging this kind of tech talk for the students. And also I thank our outgone students, even currently outgone 20% students. They have also joined here. They're
Okay.
interested to join, know about the testing principles. Oh, thank you each and everyone
thank you very much, guys.
for making this event a grand success. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And any other things you want to share?
No, sir.
All of you, please thank you. Please note his mobile number and mail ID.
Yeah, please reach out to me for any
If there's
help.
any queries, you can please ask him. Thank you, Nandu sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sir. Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot.